Hey guys, welcome back. I wanted to show you the statue since one person on Facebook said they liked it. I want to go in a little more detail about this one. He's 7 inches tall. It's pretty big. Now, you saw the Loki runes on the front, yeah? And there are also runes down here at the side of the chair. Okay, everything's backwards and such for me. Now, I couldn't translate the first word entirely. I think when they cast it, maybe the runes didn't come out perfectly, but the second word is giggle, and like, unless they, thankfully when people use runes today, they usually put it in whatever language they're speaking, so, like, thankfully these are in English, unless I just translated Scandinavian into something it's not. Like, the master carver would be watching this, like, how did you get that out of those words? And there's also, runes all the way on the back in this, in the part of Yergamander. And it's basically, it says, a rough translation I can give you is, since some of the runes didn't seem to transfer completely, is we are family forever. And I was like, that's so sweet! Cause you know how I get about Loki and his family. So I really like that detail. I was really impressed someone cared to make a, Loki statue, and they actually put some love into it, because there are heathens out there that they are actually terrified, and they think that anytime you do something for Loki, it's going to bring bad luck and chaos and destroy your life because he's evil. But, but yeah, but let's take a closer look at it. I like the twin heads on the top. I'm calling them dragons or serpents, like, for his modern symbol, but the master carver might have meant something else. If he ever sees this, I'd love to hear. And I like the hell is at the top, because, he loves hell to bits. He loves all of his children. I don't want you to think like there's one one child he doesn't care for. And Jorgamander and Fenrir. And that kind of brings me to a thing of, like, I know they tell you in the stories that, like, and people have gotten from Loki that, all of his children were taken away from him. But I'm wondering if, like, too, it might have been, like, some people have said, well, no, they've talked to Thor, and Hel was gifted the Underworld. And Jorgamander is, of course, far older, probably as old as Loki, far older than the Pantheon, and so he was always that world snake, protecting the world and encircling it, which is actually his job, by the way. He's not, like, big and evil, and he doesn't, like, lay in wait for Thor or something. And, for Fenrir, too, he probably could have, this probably could have been a family of, pre-Norse, pre-Germanic, pre-English deities, and they are the same family group. They go by a family group today, and they will, affirm the tales to you. But for him too, if you meet Loki and you work with him and you know how he feels about his family, he tends to get his head homicidal if anybody even looks at his children wrong. So, that kind of brought that up for me too, because he loves his family. He would never let any harm come to his family if there was ever anything he could do about it. And I think that's my problem with some translations. I think some people kind of make Loki into, like, a patsy for Odin and insults both gods. And we have on the side, of course, Loki lost his temper. He was like, we've sat here all day and the food hasn't cooked, and now that it's finally cooked, you ate it all. And of course, it was a trick, because the giant may have well known about Loki's temper, and as soon as he struck the eagle, giant eagle, people locally will get the joke, he got stuck fast. And that led to another adventure for Loki. And we've got the goat, of course, and I think that's why this says giggle on it. I don't believe this has anything to do with any other god's name. It's like, for some reason, the runes are, like, super hard to read for me on this one. But yeah, I really like it. The detail of Loki himself took a little while to grow on me. I've got to admit it. I've seen this statue forever, and I've been like, well, I know for Norse art it's accurate. The Norse had a different definition of, like, what they would make into art. And most of the statues I have are either, like, the fox statues or the one Loki statue, which looks more like a modern interpretation, but it grew on me because, of course, he can look like anything he wants. This is not how I usually see him, but to me, it's still a beautiful work of art because, you know, they went into the details of the clothing. And he looks, if you look at the statue a while and you work with it, he looks like, you know, he could actually shift positions or something about it. He looks like a living god in this statue. This is already activated, of course, and there's just like billions of nuggets of tiny details you find as you keep looking. Like there are the details up here and the carvings here and everything else. So it's really lovingly done. And I really liked it, and you can see there's like details up here. I like flipped it over to look at it to show you guys, and I'm like, oh my god, I didn't even see those details. So there's details up here. Are those runes? Yeah. So no, those aren't runes. Actually, that's actually English. I had it upside down. That's 2008 PB or something. But it should be the carver signature, but it's like copyrighted. And then on the bottom you have Dryad Design 169 Seated Loki, copyright 2008 P. Borda. So there you go. Now it is made in China, so no, they didn't like lovingly craft these in Norway or something. But you know, that doesn't discredit everything I have for La Santa is made in China. It's like they make it in China, they ship it to Mexico, and then I import it and pay a huge import tax on it. And it's like, dude, really? But I thought I would share that with you because I really actually, the statue's grown on me. It's become one of my favorites. But I'm trying to find the right place to put it. And first it was like behind me over there, and then I brought this Sensi Fox back in, and like Loki, you know, I was going to go put Loki back, and then I'm like, oh, I brought the Sensi Fox back in. And then he was upstairs on my altar, so he could be real close to me. I slept every night, and I love this statue. I'd almost put it on the stove because I never used the back burners, but I'm like, at one time in a million, I'll have a, you know, fire god in a literal sense. Oh, I'm terrified to put him on the stove, even though I think that would be where he'd be happiest. Maybe he will go up on the stove because, you know, he is a hearth god, he is a fire god. I think he'd appreciate the connection. Because I keep asking him, like, where does the statue go? And he's just watching me, like, kind of like chilling out, watching me. Yeah, so I thought you guys would like it. And, oh, I want to ask you something. I do want to read you an article from one of the Loki books about working with Loki. I'll kind of like cut out the little intro they had before so that if the author ever sees it, they're not like rah, rah, rah. But if that would ever interest you, let me know too, because I'd like to do like more with the channel instead of just, you know, talking off the top of my head on topics. I thought maybe getting to hear an article and then my thoughts on it, and that might help, or whatever. So guys, let me know in the comments below, and if you like the statue, they are over on Amazon. I don't know how long they'll be over there, and they're probably in pagan stores as well. I got mine on Amazon, and I got it with the books, and getting the books led me to one possible other book for Loki, so I'm going to be trying to look that up. And I do have another Loki book coming in, and I will let you know about that. And I'm really happy with this. It took a while to grow on me because I was never exposed to like Norse art, you know, Norse art and culture and that. I grew up with classical education, and that focused more heavily on Greco-Roman concepts of beauty and statues of the gods. So seeing something that looks like it's carved out of wood, I'm like, yeah. It takes a while to adjust to the Nordic mindset, and it's actually beautiful. I actually like the energies, even though this is cast resin. I like the energies of something, because the original was carved out of pine, and I'm like, oh my god, that's perfect. He adores pine. So yeah, once you get used to the mindset, if you came from a, you know, different tradition, got told this is how a statue of the god should look, this is actually really nice. And this may be, by the way, why we don't have 5 billion statues of Thor and Odin and Loki and everyone else. If they were going through and destroying statues, or a statue was left out, if you made it out of wood, it was, you know, it was a very temporary offering. Wood's not going to last forever. I don't care what you do with it. It's going to rot at some point, or, you know, insects are going to get into it and the like. So yeah, I think that could be a reason why we just don't have a lot of the cult history for our gods, because everything was made out of these ephemeral materials, and that's actually a really good way and a really spiritual way of doing it, because you know, it goes back to the earth, which it should after a set amount of time. It's not like marble, it's not going to sit there forever. Not that like bad-mouthing marble or anything. So if you guys like what you see, like, comment, and subscribe, and I will see you guys next time. Bye bye.